we also tend to trust our government when it comes to climate change. And again, I'm not saying we as in you and me. We don't. Most of you, I hope, realize that the climate change hoax is exactly that, a hoax. But here's the thing. Vast majority of Americans, perhaps more than even believed in the lockdowns, the vast majority of Americans do believe to some extent that, number one, climate change hoax is real, and number two, and this is the important one, that they need to make lifestyle changes to be ready for it. Now, a lot of those people will make those lifestyle changes based upon policy changes. In other words, especially like, for example, out here in California, we have a lot of people that are going to electric vehicles, not because they actually think that it's going to help the environment or anything like that. They're going to electric vehicles because that's what they're being told to do. They're being warned, hey, by 20 whatever, we're going to eliminate all gas cars from the road, and we're going to get rid of all the gas stations, and so you better go ahead and get used to it. They're normalizing this push for electric cars. And again, most people think that it's because Gavin Newsom and Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders and Greta Thunberg and all the others, they actually do believe that by switching to electric vehicles, switching away from vehicles that are driven by fossil fuels, that's somehow going to save things. But there's a problem with that. And this is a problem that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, but it's real and it's known. It's known by the powers that be. It's known by people like Gavin Newsom and Joe Biden. Well, okay, so probably Joe Biden probably doesn't actually know because he probably doesn't know where he is at any given moment, but still, you get the idea. The people that are pushing for us to switch out of our gas cars and into electric cars, they know there's a huge problem with this. And the funny part is that we're already seeing the manifestation of the next phase, I guess you could say, of the con. You see, there isn't enough lithium available for the powers that be, for them to be able to replace all the cars with gas cars. So are they really trying to eliminate gas cars for the sake of the environment? Or is this just a control measure? I would say it is definitely the latter. We'll go to this article by Mike Lee and Hannah Northey over at Scientific American. Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, why is he going to Scientific American? They're a radical leftist propaganda machine. Yes, they are. And sometimes we have to look at the propaganda that they're pushing to get an idea of which direction they really want us to go. The title of this article is Making the Entire U.S. Car Fleet Electric Could Cause Lithium Shortages. Ooh, what does that mean? Well, now we get to see where their real agenda is heading, what their end game, at least as far as automobiles, what their end game is. According to the subtitle, converting the existing U.S. car fleet to electric vehicles would require more lithium than the world currently produces, showing the need to move away from private cars as a primary means of travel. Boom, there it is. There's your agenda, folks. This is why they're pushing laws that are going to outlaw the use of gas cars. This is why you have not just California, other states are starting to adopt the California way. I don't know why California became the gold standard for leftists to decide how to penalize people for their automobile use, but that has been the case for decades, and now it's happening again. According to this article, and I laugh because this article is awful, but hey, sometimes we have to dive into the dirt to see which path they're trying to take us. The transition to electric vehicles could lead to lithium shortages unless the United States and other countries overhaul their transportation system and move away from private cars as the primary means of travel. Simply converting the existing U.S. car fleet to battery-powered electric vehicles, for example, would require 3 times more lithium by 2050 than the world currently produces, according to new research from the University of California, Davis and the Climate and Community Project. A spike in lithium demand could cause other problems too, such as greater environmental damage. What? Wait, what? I thought that it wasn't supposed to cause greater environmental damage. I thought we were switching to lithium-powered cars because it was supposed to save the environment. What? What is Scientific American saying? Greater environmental damage and worsening international tension over supplies of the metal, which is primarily mined outside the United States. I like how they put that, outside the United States. It's China, okay? This is whatever. The report argues that broader changes in the transportation system combined with intensive recycling of lithium batteries could drastically cut into lithium demand. Some suggestions include greater use of mass transit, denser urban development, and micro-mobility solutions such as electric bikes and scooters. Okay, so call me crazy, if you will, but everything that we've been hearing coming out of Davos for the last 4. It's been about 4 years, four meetings that they've had, not years, but 4 meetings that they've had where the primary push is to get us into some kind of controllable scenario, right? They don't call it that, but that's exactly what it is. Listen to what they're suggesting here. These suggestions include greater use of mass transit. Okay, so get people into the cities and get them using whatever. Okay, buses and trains, I guess, and of course there'll be green trains and green buses. Denser urban development. Kind of sounds like 15-minute cities to me. Maybe I'm crazy. 15-minute cities, denser urban development. Micro-mobility solutions, such as electric bikes and scooters. I was having my car worked on in my driveway. It was not something I needed to take out. I had somebody come in to do something for my car, and there was this kids. One's on an electric bike, one's on an electric scooter. Okay, or not scooter, one of those, I don't know, skateboards, like electric skateboard. Okay, so I was just like, we're just looking at each other. Me and the mechanic are just like, man, what's happening to society? Okay, this wasn't a political discussion. We were just like, I remember when I was a kid, we actually had to work for it. So yes, it's funny that they're pushing for electric bikes and electric transportation versus why not? I mean, look, I'm actually all for the push for bikes. I really do believe that there should be more biking in the United States of America. That people should be being more active. That people should be, more engaged with the outside world instead of being in cars. It has nothing to do with environmental reasons, by the way. I just think that's a healthier lifestyle. Okay, unless you're Joe Biden, in which case you'll probably fall off your bike if you stop because you see a little kid that you want to sniff their hair, right? So don't be Joe Biden, but yes, ride your bike more. Get a bike if you don't have one. If you live in an area where that allows. But here, they're not calling for more bikes, because you know what? If they were to call for more bikes, that would mean a population that needs to use more energy because they're using more personal energy, right? And then they might become healthier, and they don't want that. The powers that be, they don't want that at all. No, 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 no. Point being is that this push, they're saying on one hand, we need everybody to be in electric vehicles. On the other hand, hey, we can't have everybody in electric vehicles, at least not personal electric vehicles. So why don't we just transition everybody into denser population areas where they can use these electric bikes and mass transit? They don't even have to own a car. They don't have to own anything. They can own nothing. And they can be happy, and we can control them because there's going to be millions, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people in these little areas that are so congested, so dense. It'll be easier to control them. They'll be we can control the pollution. That it'll be easier for us to distribute our lab grown meat and bugs. And the bread lines might become a problem, but hey, as long as we have fewer cars on the road, because they're gas cars will have been outlawed by then. Hey, everybody's going to be happy. This is going to be great. At least everybody that's calling the shots, the powers that be. Folks, it is time, if you're not awake yet, to all the various cons out there. Today's show isn't really just about don't trust your government. It really is more about trying to understand what our governments are doing to us and why. This isn't just about power. We have to stop thinking along the lines of, oh, every politician is just out there, or most politicians are out there just trying to get rich and trying to be special and craving power. That's not always the case. I'm not saying that's not the reason that they're doing it per se, but that's not the reason for their actions. Okay, they might get into politics for the sake of power and money, but not all of their actions today are based around advancing those particular goals. Today, so many of our politicians, and it's not just Democrats, by the way, it is many, many Republicans. So many of our politicians have been co-opted. They've been compromised. They've been one of the three Bs, either blackmailed, bullied, or bribed into doing the bidding of the globalist elite cabal. And it's not a hard push. It's not like, hey, we're going to expose your terrible sex crimes We got this video. We're going to expose this terrible sex crimes unless you vote to mass murder a bunch of people. No, they're not selling them that. They're saying, hey, you know what? We need you to be pushing for this reduction of carbon emissions. We need you to be embracing, take it from a Republican perspective, even. We need you to kind of try to coax your caucus, your people, your constituents into believing that they should be driving electric cars, okay? And that they should accept legislation that is going to reduce carbon emissions and eventually reduce the fossil fuel driven cars and raise taxes on gas and other oil and other things that are going to affect these things. We're not asking you to do anything stupid. We're just telling you that if you continue to if you don't get on board and start pushing climate change, number one, we're going to release this. Number two, you'll be out of office, and maybe if we just can't do any of that stuff, we'll just kill you. But these scenarios, people will hear this, especially, if many of you are still not, you're still skeptical about this whole liberal world order or, powers that be, powers and principalities, globalist elite cabal. If you're still skeptical of that, it might be hard for you to swallow this, but this is the truth. I mean, I wish that I could just transfer what I have in my brain, okay, and just transfer it directly to you. Just, that'd be cool. Maybe not. Maybe you'd be like, oh my gosh, this guy's crazy. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. But I'm certain that many, if not most, if not nearly all, of the policies that come out, whether it's coming out from Washington, D.C., or your state capital, or your city hall, the vast majority of them are in some way being used to advance the machinations of this globalist elite cabal, the New World Order, or as I like to call them, and they like to call themselves now, the liberal world order. You might think, but what does doing this or that have to do? Let's say they have legislation out there for Build Back Better or whatever. That's one's obvious. Or the infrastructure bill, a lot of Republicans back the infrastructure bill. What's wrong with having better infrastructure? Doesn't that promote the idea? But no, it doesn't. If you look into the details, and I know none of you do, okay? None of us do. I didn't read the entire infrastructure bill, okay? I got my Cliff Notes, and the vast majority of you did as well. But hidden within this infrastructure bill that's supposed to build bridges or whatever is actually push for more charging stations, a push away from the use of fossil fuels. And this has nothing to do with the environment. It really doesn't. I mean, that's demonstrable. And it's not about, this funny part is they tried to say, this is the best economic plan. Look at the gas prices. Well, right now, studies came out, or not studies, but a report. It was just an article where they did some research. So it wasn't a full-blown study, but it's actually cheaper to travel 100 miles on with a relatively gas economical but still gas burning car than it is to go get into an electric vehicle and try to drive the same amount of miles, if you could even make it that far. I mean, this is just a humongous con. It just is a humongous con job, and it's not just about making people rich. Once you start understanding that the things that they're pushing us toward, it's like a huge Hegelian dialectic. They're creating problems, and we're marching ourselves towards those problems. They're creating problems that they will have. Oh, I guess the only solution is, electric bikes, move to the city, mass transit. You can't own your own car. There's not enough lithium batteries. Oh, now that we've outlawed gas cars, sorry, because of the shortage of lithium, now it's going to be, I don't know, $200,000 to buy your Hyundai electric vehicle. And we have to do that because we got to reduce the numbers, folks. This isn't just for average people or regular people. It's only for the elites that can actually drive around. You should use mass transit anyway. It's better for the world. This is what they're pitching for us. Anyone who's watched my show before knows that I am not a financial advisor, thank God. But you also know that I am very, very bullish about gold and silver, precious metals in general. And I do believe that it behooves us, considering the state of the economy, it behooves all of us to move whatever we've got, whether it's retirement accounts, various types of retirement accounts, investment portfolios, whatever, even just cash in the bank, moving as much of it as we can to physical precious metals, whether having it shipped to your door or through what's called a self-directed IRA, which I like a lot. Now, there's a lot of companies out there that do it, but the vast majority of them are the executives are either donating to the Democrat Party because it behooves them to do so, or they're working with proxies of the Chinese Communist Party, or both. I like to use America First companies, which is why I suggest going to jdrucker.com/gold, jdrucker.com/gold, and you'll see the 3 companies that I've vetted out that are verified, bona fide, 100% America First companies. They're not donating to Democrats. They're not giving to the Chinese Communist Party, and they can help you move your investments, your portfolios, your retirement, your cash, whatever, to gold and silver, physical gold and silver, or through a self-directed IRA or any of the other various products they have. I don't even know. I just know those 2 in particular I like a lot. So jdrucker.com/gold.